here's the thing with long-term storytelling. And I've talked about this as it pertains to Roman Reigns in the past. But these days, when wrestling fans talk about long-term storytelling, they use it as an excuse for when nothing happens and you go, oh, they're just doing long-term storytelling. Good long-term storytelling is something that you're not aware of in the beginning. You're not supposed to know that you're being told a long-term story at the beginning of the story. That would be like when you get a book and you start flipping through the pages to see when it ends. That's a bad book. That's because you want it to be over. When you get a book and you sit there and you don't even realize you just went through 600 pages, you're like, oh, I didn't even realize how long it was. That was crazy. I was so engaged. That's what we have with the Roman Reigns story. This has turned out to be a long-term story that in every single process and every single piece of this process, we have not known exactly where it's going. When we were talking about this only months ago, first of all, he comes back at SummerSlam. And we can't agree whether he's a babyface or a heel. I said he was a heel from the beginning, by the way, but we can't agree whether he's a babyface or a heel. Then Paul Heyman shows up, and we go, oh, it must be like Brock, like Paul Heyman is puppet mastering Roman Reigns. Then we realize this is a completely different relationship, and that Paul Heyman is a survivalist, and he is clinging to Roman Reigns so that he may survive. And he's convincing Roman Reigns that he can get done whatever Roman Reigns needs. But he is not convincing Roman Reigns to get done whatever Paul Heyman needs. That's the difference. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are not friends. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are friends. Paul Heyman is the only person that Brock Lesnar trusts. Roman Reigns doesn't even like Paul Heyman. But Roman Reigns is business. And he understands that Paul Heyman can be useful to his business. So again, the story gets twisted. We hear throughout the fall about the Samoan dynasty and the Anoa'i family. And it leads to a main event rivalry between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And there were people at the time, high-ranking wrestling analysts, that were poo-pooing, I heard them, the Roman Reigns-Jey Uso matches because we know who's going to win those matches. It was never about who was going to win those matches. It was about what was happening in those matches to further the story. Because ultimately, that's what professional wrestling is about, the stories. It's not about wins and losses in professional wrestling. It never will be, and it never was. It's always been about the story and the engagement and the emotional roller coaster that you go on through the match, through the lead up to the match, through the come down after the match. And that's what was going on with Roman Reigns. And then Kevin Owens steps up. And in the rivalry between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, a little switch gets turned. And Roman Reigns reminds Kevin Owens that he's responsible for putting food on the plates of Kevin Owens' family members. Roman Reigns' thing was never, I am the most important person in the Anoa'i family because I'm such a big star. It was, I'm the most important person on the SmackDown roster because I'm such a big star. I make SmackDown better. You heard the stories of when Hogan was on top and there were two shows running live, two groups of wrestlers, sometimes three running live events. There was the A group and the B group. And everybody wanted to be on the A group because those were the shows that Hogan was on. And if you were working a live event that Hulk Hogan was main eventing, you were going to have a sellout. More people were paying for tickets. And your 5% of the gate was going to be much higher because Hogan was the one that was selling the tickets. This is who Roman Reigns is. And now and Roman just taking a second to make that clarification that it wasn't just about Jey Uso. It's about Kevin Owens. It's about Shinsuke Nakamura. It's about Adam Pearce. It's about Daniel Bryan. It's about the fact that the SmackDown brand is what the SmackDown brand is because Roman Reigns is who Roman Reigns is. And it's been that way for some time. And we haven't mentioned it, but it's time for everybody to just swallow that fact. And that's what's made this so compelling. Because it's true. Because Roman Reigns has been the biggest star in WWE for years. And when you watch a match like Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series, when you watch a Roman Reigns match on a pay-per-view, it's on a different level. It's true. That's what makes this so compelling. And Roman Reigns shouldn't be likable. Roman Reigns should be a jerk. Roman Reigns, I've said for months, is the Michael Jordan of WWE, in the sense that Michael Jordan, before those documentaries came out, everybody heard horror stories about what an awful person Michael Jordan was. Everybody heard stories of his teammates feeling abused. Everybody heard stories of Michael Jordan being selfish. Everybody heard stories of Michael Jordan being full of himself. Everybody heard stories of Michael Jordan holding his teammates to unrealistic expectations. But that's because Michael Jordan was aware that he was the NBA. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, was making it so that every player on the Chicago Bulls could live a different lifestyle. And in fact, every person in the NBA of that era made more money because they played on the same court as Michael Jordan. And that is the story of Roman Reigns. Everybody who's in a WWE ring is making more money because of Roman Reigns. And if you think that I'm out of my mind, if you think I'm just making stuff up as I go, why do you think Roman Reigns started wearing Jordans? You think I'm looking too much into this? I don't think so. Roman Reigns didn't wear Jordans. I'm a sneaker guy. Roman Reigns isn't just wearing Nikes. Roman Reigns is wearing iconic Jordan brand sneakers that Michael Jordan wore on the court. This week on SmackDown, he's wearing Jordan 4 Breads, one of the most famous Jordan sneakers. When he was beating up Kevin Owens, he was wearing Jordan 1 Royals. You can't find a pair of Jordan 4 Breads in sneaker stores right now. You haven't been able to find a pair of Jordan 1 Royals in sneaker stores since they were re-released years ago. There's a reason that he's doing it. These are all details. He could be wearing Asics. He could just be wearing athletic shoes to go with his track pants. But he's not. He's wearing Jordans that represent a time when Michael Jordan was the Roman Reigns of the NBA. I love what I'm seeing with Roman Reigns. I love detail. I love that the further you go into this, the further there is to go in. And I love that none of us, no matter how smart you are, no matter how many sources you have, none of us know where this is going. But all of us, because we've watched this since August, have full faith that it's going to be good. Because it's been good every step of the way. There hasn't been one misstep with Roman Reigns.